In section 1 of unit 7, so it would be 5.1 in your textbook, I want you to be able to graph quadratic functions by using tables and also to describe transformations. So the first thing I want to do is describe or define what a quadratic function is. It is a function that can be written in the form f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is not equal to 0. If a were equal to 0, that would take out this term right here and make it linear. This is called, in this form right here, is called standard form. The graph of a quadratic function is a parabola. So it's either going to open like this or like this, because we are not doing any parabolas that open left and right. You'll do those next year. When you're graphing a parabola, you're going to graph at least 5 points. Now with a line, you really only need 2 points to graph the line, but with a parabola, you want to have at least 5. Now I'm going to have you change this function here to x squared plus 2x plus 1. And change your table to have these values in here. Okay, when you figure out the y value, you just plug the x value in here. And I want to go off to the side here and remind you that negative x squared is not equal to negative x squared. If I give you a value of x equals 2, this would be negative 2 squared. And this would be negative 2 squared. So here we're going to, your calculator or order of operations will tell you to square 2 first and then take the opposite. So that's negative 4. Square negative 2, and that's just going to be a positive 4. Those two are not the same. So just be careful because you're going to be working with x squareds in all of these quadratic functions. Okay, so we're going to substitute negative 3 in here and square it. So that's going to give us 9. Substitute negative 3 in here, and that's going to be minus 6. And then we're going to add 1. So that's going to be 3 plus 1 is 4, so negative 3 comma 4. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Substituting 2, negative 2 squared is 4. That's going to be minus 4 when I plug in a 2 here. And then we're going to add 1. So my ordered pair is going to be negative 2. This is 0 plus 1 is 1. So this is going to be negative 2, 1. So we'll go to negative 2, 1. And if I substitute in a negative 1 here, negative 1 squared is a positive 1. Negative 1 in here makes that a minus 2. And then we add 1. That's going to give us negative 1, 0. So negative 1, 0 goes here. Now I'm going to substitute a 0 in here. Well, that'll make this whole thing 0, this whole thing 0, and so we'll just have 0, 1. And then I substitute a 1 in here. 1 squared is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. And then I have a 1 here. So if I put all those together, I have 1 comma 4. Okay, now I'm going to connect all of these with a smooth curve. Okay, missed a couple points there. And that's my parabola. I have 5 points. Now, when you're graphing a parabola, don't make it like this, so don't go ch-ch. It's kind of hard to do anyway, but this is an absolute value, so it's not a parabola. Last thing that we need to do is talk about transformations. So just a reminder. If you are adding or subtracting, we call that a translation. If you are multiplying, it's going to be a stretch or a compression. If you take the opposite, it's going to be a reflection. So if you take the opposite of x, it reflects over the y-axis, just like we've been doing all year. Okay, the quadratic parent function is f of x equals x squared, and the vertex is going to be at the origin. So anything that is not x squared, I'm going to highlight here. So the minus 2 and the plus 4. the negative here, and the minus 8. The 2 and the minus 1. The 1/2 and the plus 5. And the plus 1. Okay, so none of that. So if I look just at everything that's not highlighted, I have x squared in all of those. So I need to identify what the transformations are. So let's look at the minus 2. Remember, this is the horizontal house. X is horizontal. And anything inside the horizontal house is not as what it appears. So it's a horizontal house of horror. So if, remember, horizontal goes this way. Goes left and right. Vertical goes up and down. Okay, so I'm looking at this minus 2 here. I know it's a horizontal because it's subtracting, it's a translation. And if I see minus 2, I have to think plus 2. So if I'm here and I go to the right 2, it's going to be a horizontal translation to the right 2. This is not in the horizontal house. So you can only choose from horizontal or vertical. So by process of elimination, it's not horizontal, has to be vertical. And what you see with vertical is what you get. If it says plus 4, you're going in the positive direction 4. So this is going to be a vertical translation up 4. All right, next one. We are taking the opposite of x. Whenever you have the opposite, it's a reflection. Since we're taking the opposite of x, it reflects over the y-axis. Okay, then we have this minus 8 to look at. It is not in the horizontal house, so that means it has to be vertical. It's subtracting, so that makes it a translation. And because it's minus 8, it's going down 8. All right, now we're back inside the horizontal house. So this is going to be a horizontal. Since we're multiplying, it has to be a stretch or a compression. Now, in the horizontal house, if we're adding or subtracting, we take the opposite. If we are multiplying, we take the reciprocal. So when we see 2, we want to think 1/2. So this is going to be, since it's 1/2 between 0 and 1, it's going to make it a compression. It's going to get smaller or close up. So this is a horizontal compression by a factor of 1/2. And this minus 1 is not in the horizontal house, so that makes it vertical. Because we are subtracting, it's going to be a translation. And it's minus 1, so it's going to go down 1 unit. Okay, we have 3 more to check here, or to identify. This is not in the horizontal house, so that makes it vertical. We're multiplying. We have to look at the value, which is 1/2. So it's going to be a vertical compression by a factor of 1/2. We're going to look right here, and we're in the horizontal house of horror. So if it says plus 5, we're actually going to go to, we're going to think minus 5. So this is going to be a horizontal translation to the left 5. And we have to do the 1 here, not in the horizontal house, so that makes it vertical. Adding, so it's going to be a translation. And we're going to go up 1 unit. Okay, you have some questions on the You Try It section there for you to do.